Welcome to the Coach and Crew Show. Get ready to take things to the next level. And now, the host of the Coach and Crew Show, the coach, Charlie Krause.
National championship game is upon us, or has arrived. Michigan and Washington for all the marbles down in Houston, Texas. Phil and I are going to take the next half hour and preview it, so it's going to be a faster show today, folks. But it'll hopefully be a good one and a little bit in depth of what to watch for and what to look for tonight's championship game. Lots of options out there. We appreciate you giving us a view. So, as always, if you have a comment, we'll try to get to your comments. Just type them in, and we'll make this as interactive as possible as you go along. Phil, we'll just get right into things. This is the big one. At the beginning of the season, I know we both had a Pac-12 team in the championship game. We were both 100% correct about that. Problem was we had a different Pac-12 game. So how do you think the season played out to get here?
We were wrong with our Final Fours too. We just got everything wrong. So basically, I've been a Penix fan all season long, so I'm going to continue with that. He's just had an incredible season, and every time I thought that our Oregon team would beat him, he said, nah, and just destroyed them. So Washington's an offensive juggernaut. They've got an NFL quarterback, and they've got 3 NFL receivers and an NFL tight end. I don't know where they can go wrong.
Yeah, we both missed the boat. For those who don't know, we do this in the NFL, and we do it in college. We predict out our conference champions and our Final Fours, and we both were big on the Pac-12 going into the championship game. Mm-hmm. Only problem was we both had USC. And we both jinxed each other at the very beginning. We both said we just screwed USC because anybody who knows us knows if we both see eye to eye, that's the curse right there.
And then during the season, we were both Oregon fans and Bo Nix.
Yes, exactly.
So, cursed him too. But, I will give myself credit. I was a Penix fan all season, and I did think that he was the best quarterback in college football.
And look, Phil can say that, but anybody can say that. I can back that up. Phil has been riding the Michael Penix bus season long.
All season, and I've taken shit for it all season too. And I don't know why. He's awesome. So
look, out of the 2 quarterbacks, he's the better quarterback, okay? Now it comes down to other intangibles because J.J. McCarthy, I don't think, and at least on the Coach and Crew show, we focus more on the southern side of the Mason-Dixon line than the northern side of the Mason-Dixon line. Just we're both geographically located down south. The teams we follow are down south. Our viewers are down south. It's just how it is. There's nothing against, at least specifically for this statement, against Michigan going into this. But J.J. McCarthy really hasn't been talked about much on this show or in the conversational battle of the main quarterbacks. But yet here he's arguably one of Michigan's best ever quarterbacks, and that includes Brady. So he's done something right to get Michigan to the championship game, and now we're here. Michael Penix is the headliner. I think if the Heisman vote was held the day after the semifinal games, we'd have a different Heisman Trophy winner than Jaden Daniels, but that's a different discussion for a different time. Phil, the quarterbacks are going to be the headlines, but where other areas do you think is going to be a key watch?
It's going to be in the trenches. It's going to be the offensive lines versus the defensive lines. And Michigan, man, that defensive line really whipped up on Alabama. And they really impressed me. And if they get that kind of pressure on Penix, it's going to be a long night for the Huskies.
And obviously speed sells and the flash and the glory and the glitz and glamour. And I feel like that's what Washington is. And all that stuff that Phil just described, the bloodied up trenches and stuff, that's where Michigan has excelled. And their goal is just to line up, punch you in the mouth, and then line up again and do it again and again. And they don't care to be fancy dancy and tricky Ricky. I think they're just going to hand the ball off to Blake Corum, let JJ McCarthy throw the ball either deep or just, on a slant when needed, and let the defense take over and do the rest. And that formula's gotten them 3 straight semifinal appearances and now into the national championship game, year 3 of 3 consecutive. So something's working for
Well,
our.
yeah, if I was developing a game plan on how to beat Washington, considering the fact I've watched probably every single one of their games this season, and we all know probably that I have put some money on Washington. So all the people watching right now, you still have time to bet Michigan because I have just cursed Washington. However, if I was putting a game plan together to beat Washington, I would put together Michigan, period. What they do is how I would go at Washington. I would just beat on them, beat on them, beat on them, hand off to Corum, and then work the clock, play complimentary football, have 7 to 9 minute drives each time I touch the ball, and not let Penix throw the ball tonight, period. Not with those NFL wide receivers. I would keep the best defense you can have against Washington is not let them have the ball. Eat up time, go down and score touchdowns, not field goals, touchdowns. But of course, we don't know if Michigan can actually kick a field goal or an extra point, quite frankly. So I would go down and score touchdowns and go for 2 and eat up the clock and take the ball out of Washington's hands.
All right, so I put together a little interesting comparison, and most of this is just 100% one-sided Michigan, but Washington's undefeated for a reason as well, folks. They have the better offense. They're scoring about 1.2 points more per game than Michigan. They're both nationally ranked inside the top 15. Washington's inside the top 10. It's the defense that is the highlights. All right. Washington's defense allows 24 points a game, ranked 53rd in the nation. Michigan's, with a giant asterisk, because I'm sorry, listen, until this changes, it's a fact, and I think Phil knows exactly where I'm going with this asterisk. Yeah, they only allow 10 points a game, but their 3 non-conference opponents were like Connecticut, Hawaii, and help me out, folks, somebody else like Little Sisters of the Poor, and the rest of it was Big Ten schedule. So is that a true 10 points against or not? That's the million-dollar question.
Michigan's schedule was weak with the exception of Ohio State. They played a big-time defense in Iowa, and Ohio State's not a slouch opponent either. I think Penn State was one of the most overrated teams in the country this season.
Absolutely.
However, I throw the season out the windows. Both these teams were undefeated, and both of them were undefeated for a reason. They are good football teams, borderline great, and you could even say great. Last week, Michigan played the toughest opponent they faced all season long in the Alabama Crimson Tide, and they smacked them around pretty good. So then held on, even though they made some huge mistakes on special teams, and held on and beat them in overtime. But they did go against the dreaded Nick Saban and beat him. And if you can do that, you deserve to be in this game, and you deserve every rank you've got. And they play big boy football. And that's Washington has got to step up. Washington's offensive and defensive line has got to step up against Michigan's offensive and defensive line. And Washington has to stop Corum on the run. If they don't, I don't think it's going to be too close.
So out of all these stats, the one that raised my eyebrows the most, that there is no asterisk next to, there's nothing next to, Michigan has the second fewest penalties per game in the country. Washington has the second most penalties per game in the country. I'm telling you right now, folks, if Washington gives Michigan 71 yards in penalties to Michigan only giving like a handful, that's almost like a free touchdown. They're spotting them at minimum in penalties, if not more. That might be the difference maker right there. I don't know if it is or not, but that's a major, hey, you got to correct that if that's been a problem all season long.
Well, with a Harbaugh-led team, you're going to, as a player, you're going to be terrified to commit a penalty out on the field. He is a proponent of being disciplined, and his teams are disciplined. So that's what we're going to be looking at. I don't foresee Michigan committing a lot of stupid penalties tonight and giving Washington anything. Washington's going to have to earn every single thing they get tonight.
All right. Before we get into our picks, I got two more variables I want to throw at you, Phil. And let's see if either one of them plays a major factor in your role. The first one I don't think will. Where do you think the crowd's going to side with, Michigan or Washington?
I quite frankly don't know if either one of these fan bases, how well they travel, because I've never seen them really leave their region. And I don't think you're going to have a lot of independence. I mean, we've both been to big-time college football games, and
we both have been to Energy Stadium.
Yes, we have. And it's one side or the other. So I would just think, since Michigan people, well, let's face it, Michigan's a pretty damn miserable state to live in, and there's a lot of Michigan grads all over the South. So I think Michigan's going to be better represented down there, and I think they're going to be louder than, because I know just in Georgia where I'm at, there is a crap load of maize and blue. So I think Michigan's going to be well represented in Houston.
I think they're going to be the majority. I think you're going to see more maize and blue than purple rain and whatever their alternate, not yellow color is considered and called. But I think there's going to be more maize and blue than purple. And I don't know. I mean, if the crowd gets taken out of the game, then maybe the neutral fans. I think the sentimental fans are rooting for Washington. The casual fans are rooting for Washington. But I think physically inside the stadium, it's going to be more Michigan than Washington. But that's just 100% speculation. Some of those are real easy guesses. Tonight's not so much. All right, Phil, one more for you, and this one might be a good discussion. Harbaugh and DeBoer. DeBoer almost, to no fault of his own, in some ways because his running back went down with an injury, almost overcoached himself out of a game. You already mentioned Harbaugh is the disciplinarian and is not going to make any mistakes. But is he coaching to not screw up? And whoever makes it the most, what's the old phrase? It's not the big plays that win it. It's not making the dumb plays that doesn't lose it. Okay, so which way is going to play out, do you think, of the two coaches? And how do you see that chess match going?
Harbaugh has more experience. I mean, he's been in the fire, both college and pro in the NFL, and he's played in big games and he's coached big games. I think he's got the advantage. He's been coaching for his life with Michigan versus Ohio State. I mean, yeah, he's beat Ohio State the last 3 seasons, but before that, Michigan hadn't beaten Ohio State in 10 years, in a decade.
It was like 0-5, so wasn't he?
He's got big games every single season. It was horrible. And Michigan was really uptight, and they were talking about firing the guy. And he was at his alma mater, so he had to come through big. Bottom line is, every time, and Harbaugh's been under the gun all season long by the NCAA, which I think is complete BS. I mean, they're calling Michigan cheaters, everything else. I've personally done what he's been accused of. So I think it's BS. You try to win every single game out there, and you do whatever you have to do to win it, period. End of story. And he does. I'm all for it. So I think Michigan definitely has an edge in the coaching tree. But DeBoer, I mean, he's played. I mean, he beat Oregon twice, and Oregon was a hell of a team. And the Pac-12, I would say the Pac-12 was the best conference top to bottom this season in college football. That's my opinion. And I know that the SEC fans watching this will probably throw up, but I think the Pac-12 was incredibly good this season. And
Phil, I'm gonna mostly agree. I'm gonna cut you off real quick. I'm gonna mostly agree and say, if you can compare everybody's 1 through 6, Pac-12 was the bottom 2 or 3 of the Pac-12 was probably near less than Vanderbilt standards. Anyway, go ahead.
No. Everybody's got their Vandy at the bottom. The guy that's just there for the check, and you want to keep him in your conference because you want to try to schedule him for your homecoming. Vandy's on 10 teams homecoming schedule every season in the SEC, and yeah, there's going to be somebody like that in every conference. And unfortunately, in the ACC for the past 3 years, it was Georgia Tech, but now we're going to come back and kick some butt. But I think that Michigan has an advantage with the coaching, but it's slight. But talent wise, as far as skill positions go, wow, Washington's loaded. So I've always said it's the Jimmies and the Joes over the X's and the O's in college football. I think it's always been like that. The coach just needs to show up, fill out the lineup card, and not screw up.
See, I think that's true on the average game. On the big time games, I think the X's and O's also play factor, not just the Willies and the Joes, or whatever you said, the Jimmies and the Joes.
Nick Saban's won a whole lot, and Kirby Smart's won a whole lot recently, and neither one of those guys are X's and O geniuses. Okay, they go out and they sign the best 45 players in the country each and every season, and they put them out there, and that's how they win games. They just steamroll people with talent.
The average big game has 3 times where the coach has to make a tough decision. Do you go for it on 4th and 1, or do you kick a field goal instead of going for it in there, or is
it's
it
overtime, 4th down and goal, and you run your quarterback up the middle against 8-man box?
Yeah, from a bad snap, apparently.
Exactly
is what they're saying,
and you completely screw the game up. Yeah, that happens.
There's 3, so that's somewhere between 3 and 5 calls. They're going to have to be just not what the sheet says, but trust your gut and make that decision. That right there, circle those plays and then see who comes out on top and see if that makes all the difference or not. And that's always an interesting inside the story, inside the game storyline to follow is the coaching matchup. And these two, both of these coaches, folks, let's be clear, they're good. They didn't get here by accident.
Nope.
All right. They have different styles.
This wasn't a joke. This wasn't a mistake. This is not a TCU in this game.
Yeah.
And this right here, I think the only question mark in this entire game, quite frankly, is did Michigan fix their special teams?
And that's what I was going to get to. That was going to be our final talking point before picks.
Yeah. I'm looking at it going, Harbaugh's a special teams guy too. And he's got to fix his special teams. He doesn't have a kicking game. He can't even receive a punt. He's got a lot of work to do, and he only had 8 days to do it. So, I hope he did. I hate to see a kid lose a national championship game. I hate that for the kid. And quite frankly, the toughest thing I've ever had to do in a football game is catch a punt. That's the toughest job out there, in my opinion, by far, is going back there and receiving punts. So, but I'd hate to see a kid blow this whole game for Michigan by screwing up a punt.
That could be the X factor, is special teams, kicking, punting, fielding, and yes, fielding, because if you let that ball bounce, that's 20 yards of hidden yards you just lost by letting the ball just roll and trickle down, and now you're starting on the negative side instead of at the 35 or 50 even. And so there's a lot of little things in the game to watch out for and to get excited about, so that hopefully, in Phil's case, this final score is something like 35-31, so he hits the over.
Yes.
Some of us,
Washington keeps it close within a field goal.
Some of us took the under. So Phil and I are completely opposites on this,
which is smart. Everybody out there. Cantor's luck this season in college football has been mostly bad. So when I go one way, everyone else should go the other. I've got Washington plus the points, and I've got the over. So if you're smart, it's Michigan and the under. Just saying.
All right, folks. So here we go. We have the entire Coaching Crew show weighed in, and all of our contributors have all weighed in. And we thank you, the Crew Nation, voted. We had 29 of our different followers submit their votes as well. So you're part of the Crew Nation. But here are everybody's picks. Devin, West Coast Chris, and myself are the only three on Michigan. The rest of the world is seeing what Phil sees and is on the Huskies with the upset. So we'll see what happens. But right now, even though they are, is it 4.5 or 5.5 underdogs? Most people thinking Washington's going to win it with Penix.
Like I said, I've been a Penix fan all season. I'm not going to throw him away now at the final game. I'm with him to the end. Dude, win me this money, man. Win me the money.
Here's what I based mine off of: defense. Because what's the old phrase, Phil?
Defense travels.
There we go.
I love Michigan's defense. There's no doubt about it.
The old joke was you pack your defense, you pack your special teams, you pack your kicking game. Let's hope Michigan can pack a kicking game. But defense travels, and that's what you pack. I'm going to bank it hard on Michigan's defense can contain Washington through it.
You got Washington, though. God bless, man. Penix is an NFL talent. As I said earlier, 3 wide receivers that are NFL talents, a tight end that's an NFL talent. I don't think anybody else has an offense that can hang with that can score with Washington.
If
you're just loaded.
If Washington can get up like 14-0 first quarter, they're going to win this game.
They've got to. That's my one worry. If Washington gets a lead, I don't think they can finish the game out. I don't because at the end of the game, if you get your 4-minute offense in there, you're up by 8 at the end of the game, and you've got
like
your
what they did against
offense.
Texas.
Yeah, I don't think they can do it. Not because Texas's defense is nowhere close to Michigan's. You're not going to run. Alabama didn't run on Michigan. Washington is not going to run on Michigan right now. I can tell you this right now. But they've got this great short passing game that serves kind of as a run game that reminds me a whole lot of that, Kyle Shanahan, San Francisco 49er deal going on with the West Coast offense that they really institute and run to perfection. So I just love that Washington offense. It's fantastic. But I am worried about Michigan. Like I said, Michigan's game plan, just run it down Washington's throat, keep the ball out of Washington's offense hands. That's what I would do to win the game. And Michigan can do that.
It's a chess match of the ages. It's an exciting one. People like me will have their pen, paper, and notebook and be taking notes throughout. While most people, actually enjoy the game. That's my version of enjoying the game. Phil, we're going to wrap up real quick. We got less than 4 minutes before we need to cut off the air. Let's switch topics real fast for the viewers that come back and watch this on their own time. Let's go straight to WWE. Big news of the week last week. The Rock made a return, and he said he didn't want to sit. He was going to go out to dinner that night, and he didn't want to sit at a booth. He didn't want to sit at the bar. He wanted to sit at the head of the table. I already know what you're going to say, but I'll let you have your turn, then I'll have my turn.
No, I've been talking about that all week, man. It's The Rock. It's what we grew up on. The Rock is The Rock, man. But his cousin Joanna, Roman Reigns, 3 years now as the champion, and it's going to be a hell of a WrestleMania, that's for sure.
So here's my one question about how they're going to make this storyline set up. is Rock going to win the Rumble or is Rock going to win Elimination Chamber? Because he's only going to do one of the two. He ain't going to do both.
The Royal Rumble, you got Roman Reigns in the 4-way. And
yeah, but Rock
somehow,
wins the Royal Rumble. He can and pick his champion, and he's not going to pick Seth Rollins. He's going to pick Roman Reigns.
Right.
Or does Cody Rhodes win the Royal Rumble, and that means Rock has to win Elimination Chamber?
Or does CM Punk win Royal Rumble and call out Seth Rollins? You got all that coming in. I mean, I would have Punk win it and call out Seth Rollins. And then I would have The Rock win Elimination Chamber and go at Roman Reigns. But you've got to have The Rock do something at the Royal Rumble, like mess with the 4-way that's going on. Like have somebody get ready to pin Roman Reigns or pin somebody else, and The Rock comes out. Well, let's say AJ Styles is going to pin Randy Orton, or vice versa. And The Rock comes out and lays the people's elbow on the guy going to pin him just so they don't get the championship. So he keeps Roman as the champion. Something like that to get him involved. And then Roman thanks Rock, and Rock turns around and says, "Nah, man, you and me, WrestleMania."
And then puts the Rock bottom on him.
You got it. There you go.
Hate that, but because I hate it, I love it so much.
It's got to happen. Let's say this. The past 4 months of WWE has been must-watch TV. Triple H has been just on fire. I mean, absolutely on fire. He has not made one bad call in the last 4 months. Not one. The guy has just been, he's been the dude's been nailing, he's been throwing craps the whole time on the come, man. He's just bam, 7, bam, 7, bam, 7, table win, table win, table win. You watch a Triple H show now, you've been entertained. You have been entertained.
All right, folks. Royal Rumble. We'll definitely have some Royal Rumble commentary leading up to it. This has been a college football preview. It's the end of the college football season. Coverage and kickoff begins in just 2 minutes. We're going to let you tune out and get your popcorn ready and enjoy the game.
And then about the NFL coaching fires, I'm just disappointed there hasn't been more. There needs to be more coaches fired in the NFL because that was some real crap football this past weekend. They ought to be embarrassed by the product they put on the field.
Yeah, we're going to have to go back and make a second recording and just push it out of all our commentary of all the NFL transactions. Because, Phil, I'm surprised as well. There hasn't been many NFL firings. Obviously, we knew Rivera would be gone and the general manager there. Panthers got rid of their general manager. Falcons at midnight 01 got rid of their head coach.
Oh, he got fired as soon as that last touchdown was scored in New Orleans.
So there was a lot beforehand, but you can still it's an easy memorization sheet of who all has been let go because the answer is not many.
No,
usually
not really.
Today was traditionally known as Black Monday, but didn't happen.
Well, Carolina, Las Vegas, and the Chargers all fired their guys
in
mid-season. Right. And quite frankly, I think Antonio Pierce with Las Vegas, the Raiders, he deserves to get that job.
All right. Phil, I want to interrupt right there real quick, and I apologize for interrupting you. We were talking about this with one of my buddies, friend of the program, Wes Johnson, who had a request last time, and I made this comment. I agree with everything you said, Phil, but they're still hiring a general manager. When was the last time a general manager was hired with being told, "Oh, by the way, you're going to be the general manager, but we've already handpicked your coach for you"?
But that's what's happening in the NFL now. Take a look. New England. They're going to renegotiate Belichick. They're going to keep him as coach and hire a general manager.
Which I think is a great move.
Well, I do too, but that's what they're doing. Look at Atlanta. Atlanta is going to hire a coach, but there's two people deciding: Arthur Blank, the owner, and McKay, who's the team president. The general manager doesn't have. They just said some input, but the general manager, I think his name's Fontenot or whatever for Atlanta Falcons, he's not going to be hiring the coach. So he's not hiring the coach. It's the same with Vegas. And I don't know what's going on in the LA Chargers, but it seems like this season the owners are looking at it and they're looking at, okay, we've got on our football operations side, we're going to have our head coach and our team, and then we're going to have our player personnel side with the general manager, and they're not going to have anything to do with each other. And that's not how we grew up watching football, where the general manager ran the entire football side and he hired the coach because he got the players. He went shop, like being a chef. He went shopping for the groceries and then hired a chef to cook them. And that fit with his groceries. Now it looks like these owners are looking at it completely separate. Like Josh Harris, I listened to his interview for the Washington Commanders, and he's talking about analytics and all this other stuff. And he hired a basketball guy and to come in that used to run the Warriors to team up with Spielman to help him and Magic Johnson decide who's who's going to be an NFL coach. What the hell? That sounds like a joke. We had four guys walk into a bar and one of them had a dog. There's got to be something. Where's the punchline in that? I didn't hear anything about NFL football players or NFL coaches or NFL general managers. And, Spielman, I hate to say it, but that guy's ran a couple of franchises into the ground. He would not be helping me decide on a coach.
The one takeaway I just had from that is the world we grew up in versus today's NFL
is dead.
And that might be, we might be the old people in this conversation now.
We are. Get off my grass. Get off my lawn.
Yeah, we might be the old people, and there might be just a new wave mentality. And I know I don't have full buy-in on that. I'm sure you don't have full buy-in on that, but that just might be the way it is. I don't know.
Heck, everybody's talking about how great Eric Bieniemy is and how he should get a head coaching job. I just watched him destroy a second-year quarterback over 17 games in a season.
Well, and Phil,
I watched the kid get worse every week. I watched the kid come in the start of the season and be fairly damn decent and have a guy destroy him and kill him. He looked like David Carr. Carr. The brother.
Yeah, the older one.
Yeah, the older one. He killed the kid's career. He destroyed Sam Howell's career, period. I thought he did a shit job running, 70% passing, 30% running when he had two beast running backs, no offensive line whatsoever, drop back passing, get your quarterback sacked more than anybody else in the NFL, lead the league in interceptions. That's not a good job. That's not reading your team and doing what your team does best. That's not developing a quarterback. That right there is killing a kid's career, destroying your season, and getting your head coach fired. That's my opinion of it. I know it's unpopular, but Eric Bieniemy would not be a head coach on my team. But I don't own a team, so.
Well, the one, I try to stay up to speed on all the rumor mills. And not just the official NFL website of the official requests, but one of the rumor mills said that the Falcons were trying to seek permission to interview Bieniemy.
Yeah, that's on the radio down here, and I'm listening to them like, are you people stupid? You just got rid of a substandard offensive coordinator as your head coach. You're going to hire a failed offensive coordinator. Eric Bieniemy, when he was the offensive coordinator at Kansas City, I think it was Reed. Andy Reid was the offensive coordinator. All right, so let's just get over that. Washington had a shit year. They had a shit offense, and they destroyed a quarterback's career. Got the head coach fired. And you want to hire that guy as your head coach? You're an idiot.
All right, folks. enjoy the game. Make sure you hit the like. Send us some comments and feedback. Tell us what you'd like us to talk about in future episodes.
And if you're going to call Tantor an idiot, it's Tantor, Tantor,
yeah,
Our. No,
the British spelling, it includes a U.
Yeah, there you go.
So we'll see
Use
you next
an,
Monday.
not A, it's an idiot.
Yeah. Next Monday, we're going to talk heavy NFL playoffs and the coaching side of the NFL, plus a little bit of WWE to get us ready for Royal Rumble and continue with the playoffs. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.